And we're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol, only on the Last Call Podcast.com. And joining me here on location, well, we had Maddo on for a bit. He was partying during New Year's Eve like it was 1999. I know for all you young people, like, what the hell does that mean? Older people, like, yeah, we understand. But he's back. He's a bit cleaned up, sober. He had a little bit of some peppermint schnapps during New Year's Eve with his Instagram models. But hey, this man here is a cause du jour celebrity over the Netherlands. I give you MMA insider, trash talker, podcaster, and nugget dropper for knowledge. I give you Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, start off here with the new year. We kick off with Kayla Harrison, and it's not good. We saw she had to pull out of UFC 324. Your first reaction when you heard those words, neck injury, pull out, and Kayla Harrison.
Yeah. By the way, Happy New Year to everybody listening. I know we're already halfway January, but whatever. um, yeah, I mean, we saw it all at the same time, pretty much. I think it's an unfortunate that she's out, that she's injured. Also, not a really good or not a easy, how do you say, it, easy comeback injury. Neck injury. Recovery will take at least 6 months. I've read. So, yeah, it sucks, man. Listen. Personally, for me, that fight between her and Amanda, I didn't really care to be really honest about it. But it sucks that it's postponed and that it doesn't happen. Yeah, let's see what they're gonna do. Obviously they're gonna rebook the fight. When it's I don't know, but yeah, it's very unfortunate. Obviously.
So let's start off with the rebooking of it. When does that happen? Because she's had it's herniated discs, which this isn't like a pinched nerve or hey a muscle strain. This is serious stuff. So
Yeah,
they're already talking surgery, probably a disc removal, the worst case scenario, a laminectomy or a fusion surgery. So again, how long is it going to take her to get cleared? Not just for forget about fighting, just for like training and using your neck because like she was talking like yeah, I was having trouble with this injury like walking. I was having problems with pain in my shoulders. Like you don't want to rush this. So right, let's ask the big question. Could this be it for her? Like, is there a good possibility where there's a world where the doctors go, we're not clearing you. Like, you're
yeah.
not fighting at all, ever.
Let's hope not. But listen, I'm not a doctor, and it looked very serious. So I don't know, man. This, like I said, I'm not a doctor. Let's hope it's she will recover. But I think if she returns, she won't fight for a long time probably anymore. So I don't know what the UFC is going to do with the division now. Obviously Amanda is not going to fight an interim championship or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting what's going to happen. I hope for Kayla that she has a full and speedy recovery, but it will take some time, and it sucks. It sucks.
What should she do? Like, if somebody presents her with the offer, like, hey, look, you might be able to fight again, but you are risking like serious health issues. How tough is it for her to walk away when she's right there at a doorstep? Like had been clamoring to get to the UFC. She got to the UFC. She wanted a big fight. Now she has that big fight.
Mhm.
How tough is that for her deciding like is this worth risking like my health like not just like well I might have pain for the rest of my life like I might be paralyzed if I land on my neck the wrong way.
It's definitely not worth to risk your health. But these fighters, it's a big fight, and she's not going to pull out of it. Like, I mean, she should pull out of the fight, but she's not going to get away from it. As she feels healthy, as she gets cleared, she 100% will fight Amanda Nunes because that's the fight she wants. Is it a good, how do you say that? Is that a good decision? I mean, that's not up to me. I don't know how severely injured she is and how she comes back. So that's more what I'm thinking here. But yeah, well, I mean, we will see in the future. We cannot really say right now.
If you're the UFC, what do? Because you're now with Paramount. You're no longer like by yourself, you're no longer doing pay-per-views. Paramount owns everything. The last thing they want is, oh crap, that is paralyzed in the ring. I mean, thankfully the UFC's never had that. They haven't had a death in the cage.
Hmm.
Haven't had somebody like seriously get, really hurt where they're paraplegic. So if you're the UFC, I mean, at what point, do you say, do they have to put sort of step in and go, look, we know you're gonna push through everything. I mean, could have a torn ACL, you'll push through that, but this might be time for us to go. You need to retire. We're putting a kibosh on this.
Yeah, it depends. Again, the UFC will also look at the medical things, and if the medical clear her and she wants to fight, she will just fight. If the medicals don't clear her, she won't fight anymore. The UFC is normally pretty strict about it. Sometimes not when they're outside the US, they're a lot more lenient, but overall they're pretty strict. So I think if she can't fight and it's how do you say that? It's dangerous for her to fight, they won't let her fight, man.
I ask that because you and I both know there's always a doctor who will clear you.
Yeah.
You can doctor shop around and look. There's always some doctor. Whether NBA fans know this from Len Bias, NFL fans know this from just the way the league has been the last several years. To boxing and MMA fans know there's always some quack commission doctor who'll go, "Yeah, we'll clear you," even though your brain's been beat to mush. So again,
Mhm.
if you're the UFC, for somebody like this, for a high profile, for all this, do you take any doctor, or are there like limits where like, no, you need to see like a top level specialist to clear you because we're not just going to accept, the quack doctor from parts unknown who have cash will sign off on anything.
Yeah, that's the question here, and that's the thing with MMA, of course. We've seen it before, with Michael Bisping. Remember him fighting GSP, was damaged in the fight, and then I think a month later, he took the Calvin Gastelum fight and got brutally knocked out. So we've seen it more. We've seen it before. But I don't know with this injury, man. This is a pretty severe injury. It's been out. It's not been behind closed doors or anything. It's not just like she's injured, but we don't tell you what happened. But it's out in the world what happened. So I don't think it's just like a doctor who's going to clear her out of nowhere. I think she will have multiple. How do you say that? Um, Multiple checkups with her neck, and we'll see from then. It's hard to give an actual, how do you say that, an actual explanation right now what's going to happen, because we're just guessing and thinking out loud.
Let's start with if she can't fight. What does that do to the division? Because
Nothing, nothing, because Amanda won't come back. Kayla won't come back. Then listen, the division 135 is a complete, how do I say it in a nice way? It's just
dumpster
bad.
fire.
Yeah, it's just bad. There are like a couple of girls who I think are okay in the division. But for example, these girls who are okay are still miles behind Amanda Nunes, Mikaela. The only who is a little bit close, I would say, is Juliana Pena, Raquel Pennington, Norma Dumont, maybe, who are like they're in the top six around there. They're okay, but they're not world class in my opinion. You know, maybe it makes it more interesting because the division will be much more closer, I think. But at the same time, if it comes to quality, I don't think it will enhance the quality or whatever. So I think 135 is overall not a really great division. Same for 115. I think 125 with the women is the best division. But yeah, it's yeah, 135 is just not that great, man.
Could this kill the division? Like if this, let's say she can't fight again, Pena goes off to retirement, does the UFC kill off 135 and just go, it was a nice run. Thank you for coming. Here are your prizes. Anybody who can make 125 will keep you. Anybody else will just let you go.
It's possible. It's definitely possible if the UFC doesn't see any how do you say that development in the division, they can do that. Because I think if you look at last year, we had like the least women fights in 5 years or something in the UFC. So that's always also saying something, right?
You hope, but I mean, you've pointed out on several occasions this division is very thin. 145 has been shuttered off for good almost.
Mhm.
Like again, there's not many women who are that size who get into MMA and are actually good. It's you get what you want, and or in this case, you get what's left over. That's a whole different story, different day. Once again, let's talk off with another big news here of the day, and that is the show must go on. So UFC 324 main event: Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for the UFC lightweight interim championship. Do we need an interim championship? And are you happy that this is for a title, or are you like, oh my God, why are we doing here? The champ's not injured. He's just taking some time off. We could hold off on having another friggin' interim title.
So yeah, it's actually funny you're asking this one because I like the fight as a fight, but I don't like it as it's for the title. Um, I think the fight is a great fight. I think it's a good fight, Gaethje against Pimblett. But if you ask me for the title, for interim title, I think it's crap. And it's because of more reasons. One of the reasons is that the actual second best fighter in the division is not in this fight. You know, um, the UFC wanted to make Ilya Topuria against Paddy Pimblett, which is outrageous already, in my opinion. They wanted to do that. And because Ilya can't fight, they wanted to have Paddy, and then they could match him up with Gaethje, while Arman Tsarukyan was available. So for me, it's like these two are fighting for the opportunity who fights Ilya next, while Arman Tsarukyan should have fought one of these two to see who fights Ilya Topuria next. And Dana can give all kind of excuses and bullshit and crap for why Arman is not fighting for this interim title. It's complete bullshit in my opinion. Um, but about this fight, yeah, it's a good fight, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting fight. I think both guys have the how do you say that? Have the opportunity to win. I don't see a clear favorite in this one. I think it can go both ways, honestly. So yeah, it's an interesting fight for sure.
Let's start with Justin Gaethje. How does he beat
Sure.
Paddy Pimblett? He's had problems with some submission guys in the past. He's been caught before, but he brings knockout power. So does he just go full out, stand and bang, throw, big, heavy ham hocks? Does he just go for broke right away? Like, how does he beat Paddy Pimblett?
Keep the fight on the feet and try to punch his wig off. You know what I mean? I mean, don't go to the ground because Paddy is slick on the ground. I don't think he's next level or anything on the ground, but he's slick on the ground. And we've seen Gaethje getting caught before against top level opposition, I should say. But still. And I think so. If it comes to striking, I think Gaethje's better. But the thing is, like Gaethje is also getting older, so this might be a crossroads fight where Paddy gets Gaethje right at the right moment for him. Um, Still, I think Gaethje's striking is better. He has more knockout power than Paddy has. At the same time, Paddy hasn't been knocked out, and Paddy is pretty decent on the ground. So if the fight hits the ground, I mean, we know Gaethje has a good wrestling background as well, but at the same time, he's been caught before. So it's an interesting fight. It's a style clash. And yeah, I think, listen, I don't say Paddy will get Paddy as much or as worse on the feet because I think he developed as well. But I think Gaethje has an advantage stand up, and I think Paddy has an advantage on the ground. So that's an interesting one.
How does Paddy Pimblett win this match? I mean, we keep underestimating him. A lot of us thought, okay, Michael Chandler was going to take his ass out, and then we got surprised. We thought, Bobby Green might make it a tough fight. No, we got surprised. So now that you come around, like, okay, Paddy Pimblett is not too overrated. Still not on the fan club yet, but we're working on that. How does Paddy Pimblett beat Justin Gaethje?
Paddy Pimblett is not overrated in the sense that I think that he can match up with these guys. But Paddy Pimblett is overrated in the sense that people think that he can be a next big ass champion, you know? So, I mean, for me, interim title is not champion. So, there's a big test for him, but he can win this fight. He's good on the ground. And we've seen him getting better in every fight, and that's the thing. If we remember him from the start from the UFC, he struggled against guys. He still got the win, but he struggled here and there. In his last couple of fights, he easily won. Gotta say, we got to take it in perspective as well because, like, he beat Ferguson decision, Green by sub, or was TKO sub or whatever. Well, he was out at least, and he got the win over Chandler, which was a massacre. But that was a great finish from him. But man, Chandler horrible like the last couple of fights. So we have to take that in perspective as well. Maybe Paddy is that good and made Michael Chandler look horrible, but maybe Michael Chandler isn't all that anymore. You know what I mean? So we'll see it in this fight. And the thing is, for what is very fortunate for Paddy is that he fights all these guys later in their careers. He's still a little bit younger. He's still an up and comer. I know he's not super young, but he's up and coming in the UFC, and all these guys are established or like past their prime. For Gaethje, it's hard to say if he's past his prime or if he's still in his prime. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. It's difficult to really give an opinion on that.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Hmm.
What the UFC wants. They want Paddy Pimblett to defeat Justin Gaethje so that we can get UFC White House. Paddy Pimblett versus Ilya Taporia. Donald Trump there. Dana White there. We might even have, dare I say, folks, Marcel Dorff sitting next to Marco and Rubio, the two hardest working men in the world who have more jobs combined than anybody sitting side by side. This is the plan. So if you're ever UFC, how do you make sure the plan doesn't get screwed up? I mean, will there be shenanigans with judging? Should Justin Gaethje expect that he probably loses any close decision? Like, what is, I guess, the elephant in the room here in terms of UFC really wants this?
Listen, if Paddy wins, that White will get a boner from January till the December. That's what they want. Obviously, they want the Korea fight, and that's also why they didn't put Paddy against Arman Tsarukyan, because Arman would destroy him. I didn't know that. So that's why they put him against Gaethje. That's just like an opportunity for Pimblett to prove himself. And if he wins, he's the interim champ and he fights Ilya. And that's why I'm laughing when people are saying, like, if Paddy wins here, he might have to defend the interim title once more because we don't know when Superior returns. No way the UFC is going to let Paddy defend the interim title. And if they do it, definitely not against Arman Tsarukyan. They get somebody like Dan Hooker or something. So obviously the UFC wants him to win. I mean, how clear do you want to have it?
You say all this, but Marcel, you want to win. You want Paddy Pimblett to win so we can take on Ilya Taporia. You can follow Ilya to the White House, be part of that cheer squad. You can trash talk Paddy when he gets knocked out, and then you can be the one we put in our history books that, hey, Marcel Dorff helped the Netherlands of the United States broker a peace deal on Greenland. I know of a master plan. The master plan's like, all right, I'm going to do two-part. I'm going to be very rich. I'm going to watch Paddy Pimblett get knocked out by my guy, Ilya Taporia. So you want this to happen also, don't you? You want Paddy Pimblett to beat Justin Gaethje so you can go to the UFC White House fight.
To be fair, I couldn't care less. For me, Paddy is not championship material at the moment. Maybe he will be in the future, but I don't think at the moment. And he's lucky he's fighting Gaethje because then he has a chance. Because against Arman and against Ilya, he gets starched, in my opinion. So yeah, he's just lucky he got this fight, in my opinion. And but if he wins, he's the interim champion, and I think it's a good possibility he wins here.
See, he did deny it, but I know he's not going to admit it. So we're going to move on to another fight, which is Marcel Dorff's, let's say, radar up. Yes, that's right. The ultimate, as he calls it, Dana White privilege. Sean O'Malley takes on Song Yadong for the co-main event now. It's been bumped up in a bantamweight scrap. Let's start off here with, can Sean O'Malley win, or could this be where Dana starts realizing, yeah, the Dana White privilege doesn't guarantee you wins against grapplers?
The UFC has dropped the ball by not making Sean O'Malley score something, in my opinion. That was a great fight. They did Song Yadong. It's a good fight, I think. At the same time, we're really afraid that if Sean O'Malley wins against Song Yadong, that they're going to give him a rematch against Piotr Jan in the White House. That's what I think they want to do. And I fucking hate it if they do that because I don't think Sean deserves it if he wins here, even with a finish. I think if Umar wins, he should be next, or maybe Marab a rematch against Piotr Jan, you know. But I think if Umar wins, he should be next. But that's why a lot of people are surprised that Umar's on the prelims. Why you guys think Umar's on the prelims? Because the UFC wants to show Sean O'Malley. They don't want Umar on the main card. If Umar gets a great win and Sean O'Malley gets an okay win, they cannot push the O'Malley Jan fight because they get a lot of backlash. So that's why Umar is on the prelims, you know. Um, Listen, if O'Malley fights crisp and he can do that with striking, he can win this fight for sure. You know, Song Yadong is also a good striker, probably more knockout power than Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley is more precise in my opinion. So yeah, that's what I think about that fight.
How does Song Yadong beat Sean O'Malley? I mean, he's talked about using grappling, but
Yeah,
unless you're an elite level grappler like Marab, it's tough to do to take down Sean. So, what are
he
his
can
chances, and what should he do to beat Sean
he can
O'Malley?
he, he can grapple. He can also like go in the inside, try to strike with him, try to how do you say that? Try to back him up. Don't give him the room to put on his flashy kicks and that kind of stuff. You know, back him up. Try to power punch. You know, because I think he has the power to knock him out, but it will be very difficult because Sean is like really how do you say that? Really flashy always. You know, so. There's an opportunity, but he's not the favorite in this one, I think.
All right, if Sean O'Malley wins this fight, does this get back respect? Because it seems like a lot of people are down on O'Malley. Like, all right, you're just Dana White's new little pet project. Dana White privilege. Yeah, Sean got, ragdolled by Rob. I mean, I get it. He lost to Rob, badly, but Rob does that to a lot of people. So again, is there a way that Sean O'Malley can win and start getting people go, hey, we remember him as a pretty damn good fighter.
Brother, there are so many Sean O'Malley tarts around the world, you know, who think that he's the next level thing or whatever. He's a good fighter, I give him that, you know, but his hype is bigger than his qualities, in my opinion. So the thing is, the UFC thinks he is like next level, amazing, really easy to sell kind of guy, which he probably is, you know. So they want him in big fights. So if he wins against Song and he makes it look good, he gets a title fight against Piotr Jan. I tell you this right now, that's going to happen because the UFC doesn't give title fights to the people they deserve, but they give the title fights to the people they think are easy to sell. So if he wins here against Song Yadong, they're going to rematch him against Piotr Jan. I'll tell you this here right now. I'm shocked if they won't do. I hope they won't because I think if Umar wins, he should be next, or even Marat with the third fight. But they're going to do that because a bunch of bitches. I think they're going to do that.
Well, this is the fight I know you love. As much as you say you hate heavyweights, and I know you really do. This is one of the few fights that even like, ooh, we'll crack open a bottle, might be some nipple play because this fight won't last long. It's Derrick Lewis versus Waldo Cortez, you know, Artez. Somebody's getting knocked out quickly. If not, we're in trouble. But is it safe to say that this fight will not go 3 rounds?
I wouldn't be sure about that, man, to be really honest. Because listen, if it's up to Lewis, probably not, you know. But we have seen that Waldo also can wrestle if he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that in this one, you know. A lot of people think there's a big opportunity for Waldo. I think there's a big opportunity for Derek to get back in top. Um, yeah, I think it can go either way, to be honest. Also, Waldo also has the punching power to knock out Lewis, but man, I think he probably puts in the wrestling as well, you know, and maybe wins by ground and pound, Waldo. But hey, you can never count out Derek, you know, until the 15 minutes are over. He's still dangerous, always, you know.
So how does Derrick Lewis win this fight against Waldo Cortez
Knocking him out,
Acosta?
knocking him out, only option. You know, there's no decision win in this one for him. There's no submission one in this one for him. Knockout, only option for Derek Lewis in this one, you know, and he will go for the knockout for sure. But that's his only option. For Waldo, there are more options to win, in my opinion. But for Derrick Lewis, it's just a growing rocket sucking robot and trying to knock him out. That's what he's going to try to do.
All right. Here's the other question we have to worry about with Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Which one shows up? If it's the one that's showed up for, Ante Delija, Samshimil Gaziev, it's gonna be fun. You and I might even start, agreeing on the same thing. Waldo is must see TV. If it's the same one that showed up for against like Andrei Arlovsky, Sergey Spivak, where it's like, oh, this is a bit of a grind. I can already hear like the venom coming out of your mouth, like, get rid of the heavyweights. Just get rid of them. Fire all of them. Even we'll keep a couple of them, like the foot the foot hunter. We'll even keep Tom Aspinall, but the rest of these guys get rid of them. Like, is there a worry that this could be a stinker?
Yes, definitely. It's always a worry with heavyweights. You know how I think about that. Let's hope not. Let's try to stay positive. I hope it's going to be a banger. But I tell you, after 4 minutes, there is not a finish. This fight going to stink. But let's hope it's going to be a banger for the time it takes.
Well, if this fight has you troubled, if the last two fights are like, oh yeah, this is this fight, I can already tell there will be nipple play. There will be like Marcel will be like, ooh, I like this fight here. It's Jean Silva versus Arnold Allen. It is featherweights. There'll be lots of scrambling, lots of quick strikes, lots of submissions. Is this almost like your favorite bout on the card?
I wouldn't say my favorite bout, but it's definitely one I'm looking forward to. Um, I mean, you know what you got with John Silva. There's like crazy action. And Arnold is more a point fighter, in my opinion. So it's interesting what's going to happen here. Silva's going to try to knock his head off, and Arnold is going to try to win, but more in a conservative way, I would say. It's it depends, man. If Silva can push the pace for 3 rounds, then I think he can beat Arnold Allen. But if he can't, then Arnold Allen will be a very tough cookie to crack. In my opinion. So, um, yeah, it's an interesting fight. It's the opener of the main card. I think it can be a banger, but it depends on how both guys fight. Because listen, if Jean Silva goes too crazy, Arnold Allen can try to snipe him or to make it a point fight. But yeah, it's a fun matchup. I think I like the matchup a lot. It's good that Allen finally is back again because he doesn't fight too often. And let's see how Jean Silva has recovered from that loss against Diego Lopez.
If Arnold Allen wins, does he get a title shot sooner rather than later? I mean, we talked about how the UFC they want to have some more international stars. Arnold Allen's a good-looking English-speaking fighter. I mean, you could tell the UFC goes, they want Arnold Allen to win. Like this feels like, yeah, Jean Silva's nice, but if Arnold Allen wins, ho ho ho, this might be one of those. He's next in line for a title shot.
No, I don't think he's close, to be honest. And I think the UFC wants Jean Silva to win, not Arnold Allen.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jean Silva gets another opportunity against a top, higher ranked guy after losing to Diego Lopez last time, which was already like, listen, if you look at rankings, crazy matchup, but I like the matchup, so I didn't really mind. The UFC likes Jean Silva, man. He's crazy. Fans love the guy. He's just nuts. And Arnold Allen, he's a good fighter, nice dude. He doesn't fight too often, man, and he's not really that popular around the fans, because he doesn't fight that often. So I think the UFC definitely wants Sean Silva to win here. Um, but I see Arnold Allen. I think Arnold Allen can beat him, dude. I mean, I think Sean Silva is the favorite in this fight with the bookmakers, but I think Arnold Allen can beat him, because Arnold Allen has something like he's not like, how do you say that? He doesn't have anything really special, but his basics are really good. He's a really good MMA fighter. So, yeah, I can see him winning, but I really think the UFC wants Sean Silva to win, man.
Well, here's gonna be the one which I have no idea who they want to win. Is it Natalia Silva? Is it Rose Namajunas? We're not sure. So break it down for me here. Um, if you were the UFC, who are you sort of hoping wins this fight in terms of the promotion itself?
I think you should hope that Natalia Silva wins for the simple reason that she's undefeated in the UFC. I know she started her career as 1-3, but she's undefeated in the UFC. She has looked good. Plus, she's learning English, she's a fan favorite. And she's also pretty good looking, in my opinion. So she has a total package. Rose Namajunas, former champion, but not great in this weight class at flyweight. She's really good at strawweight. Flyweight, I don't really think she's that great. So the funny thing is, like, she's the bigger girl here, but at the same time, man, Natalia Silva should beat her over 3 rounds, in my opinion, and then she should fight for the title against Valentina. Um, Natalia is just the top contender, in my opinion, in the division. I know Manon Fiorot is there as well, but she lost to Valentina. Does she deserve a rematch after the Justin Vicious win? Maybe, but I think Natalia should be first if she wins here against Rose. And hey, if Rose wins, we'll see, man. She also comes back into the top of the flyweight, so that would be interesting as well.
How does Rose win? I mean, because she's sort of, as you said, at 125, she's not what she was at 115. 115, she is a demon on wheels. She can destroy you with strikes, with submissions. She is usually the bigger, stronger fighter, but she said 115 is too much for her to cut now. She's just, when you get to your 30s, all of a sudden weight cutting is no longer like, oh yeah, well I could take a long run, not eat for a day or two. I'm good. Now it's like, yeah, this is going to take a much more to get rid of these pesky 10 pounds that, really don't go away. So how does she beat Natalia da Silva? I mean, is it the one that showed up against Miranda Maverick and Tracy Cortez, or does she get bullied around, sort of like what happened with Aaron Blanchfield?
Yeah, I don't think she wins against Natalia, dude. It's like Natalia is on the feet really good, really elusive, really hard to touch because she always walks backwards and she kicks. Her striking is also pretty good, and her ground game is good as well. So I don't see really like, I think this for Rose a tough style matchup. Maybe on the ground she can do some damage if she gets on top, but at the same time, actually Natalia fighting on the ground as well. I think she's pretty well rounded, and I just think there's a bad matchup for Rose, man. This fight was supposed to be Rose against who was she matched up against again originally again? Oh, against Alexa Grasser, right? That would have been like I think that would have been more competitive, and probably would Rose have been the favorite in that fight. But Natalia Silva, very difficult fight for Rose. I don't see her winning, to be honest.
At the same time, if you're Natalia Silva, how tough is Roseville? Because yeah, we say, well, Rose isn't what she is in flyweight, but she's still better than anybody that Natalia's faced. She's better than Jessica Andrade, who is mostly just a pure one. She's a 5 minute fighter. She will first 5 minutes are tough. You survive that, she gets tired. Alexa Grasso, excellent wrestler, but nothing that's great. Vivian Araju, Andrea Lee, Victoria Leonardo, all good fights, but Rose is a different beast. So again, how big is it for us to see, like, how does Natalia do against somebody who is talented on the ground, talented on the feet, and has beaten elite fighters?
Yeah, that's why it's an interesting fight, of course, because we're going to see her against Rose, and Rose is like a veteran who has been champion before, so it's interesting. But the thing is, you can see in certain fighters if they have something extra or not. And Natalia has that extra, in my opinion. If you look at her fights, she's almost untouchable, in my opinion. And I know she has lost rounds before. Don't get me wrong, but she doesn't. How do you say that? Even if she loses one round, she just wins the other rounds. And she has a certain pace that is really hard to follow for a lot of girls. Can Rose do that? Maybe. Wouldn't be surprised if she can. But still, man, the thing is, like, Rose's career is like stagnant and is not going up anymore. And Natalia's career is still rising, in my opinion. So that's why I think that Natalia will beat Rose. But it will be an interesting fight. I like the fight a lot, to be honest. A lot of people were complaining that it's on the main card. I don't mind. I think it's a good fight.
Should it that have been the main fight vote over Davison Figueiredo and Usman Nurmagomedov? I mean, because I guess that's what people have the issue with. It's like, okay, yeah, this is nice, but you know, did it deserve to be top billing over Nurmagomedov Figueiredo?
going to tell you something, and you're going to be really mad about this. But I think Lewis against Waldo Cortes-Acosta should have been on the prelims. So,
Of course, I'm not upset, Marcel. I know you are. There is a shadow campaign with you and your associates to rid the UFC of those horrible heavyweights. If you could, you'd get a petition, get 1,000 million signatures, and present it today to go fire the heavyweights. Nobody wants to see two walruses slam against each other and then just waddle on the ground for 15 minutes. Get rid of them. I know you.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind heavyweights, but there's always been some push by the UFC in your face. You know what I mean? I mean, I'd rather see guys like Umar against Figueiredo on the main card, who I know will be an action-packed fight, and with Waldo against Lewis. It can be action-packed, but it also can fucking suck. You know what I mean? So yeah,
All right, so let's go to the rest of the card because I know you're going to go, hey, these are great fights. Why are those goddamn heavyweights there? But I'm going to let it slide because Marcel, you're my friend. So let's start off here. It's Usman Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. Does Davison have a chance? I mean, does the wily veteran ex-champion, can he pull it off against Usman?
no, absolutely not. Listen, I hope it's going to be a fun fight, but I think Umar will probably grapple a lot, uh, make it look make it look like he's just a level above. You know, I haven't been like a big fan of Figueiredo at 135. I think he's decent, but I don't think he's like groundbreaking. I think Umar will beat him without a problem. Probably decision, probably won't finish him, you know, but he will clearly out grapple him and maybe even outstrike him. So yeah.
We then go to the silent assassin Ateba Gautier, middleweight fight, who is right now making noise, 9-1, fresh off of a huge knockout over Tristan Vines in the first round. He gets a step up. It's Andrei Pulev in a middleweight fight here. Who wins that fight? Does Gautier get exposed? Is Putev, basically a guy who has been brought in to get knocked out? Like, how do you view this fight?
Gauthier is going to win this fight, man. Puliayev is a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but Gauthier wins this fight, man. Gauthier is hasn't been really tested, in my opinion, in the UFC yet. You know, I think this is like, how do you say that? Um, Another fight they want to have on his record. You know, I hope he gets tested soon, but I don't think this is a big test, to be really honest. I think Gauthier wins and probably with a first round knockout again. Puliayev is not a bad fighter, but he's not on the level, in my opinion, probably.
Well, we go into a Marcel Dorff approved fight. Like I've heard this fight, like yes, this is my stamp of approval. Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson at flyweight. Two guys who you have high opinions of both. How do you view this fight? Is this a 50-50 fight? Is this a fight that should be slightly favored? How do you like this fight between two guys who are grossly underrated?
Yeah, first of all, you know Alex Perez, my boy, so I cannot really be, how do you
Objective?
say that? Yeah. I like Charles Johnson a lot. Obviously, he's a great fighter. I think he's very underrated all the time, and he definitely has an opportunity. Definitely have a chance to beat him. I think. You know, I think over 3 rounds, Perez is a better fighter. I think. You know, he's also better on the ground. Probably the striking. The striking can be interesting. You know, because Charles Johnson is super crisp all the time with the striking. And there he can make the difference. But I cannot be. Like I said, objective about this fight. I really like Alex Perez. He's a friend of mine. So I want to see him do well. At the same time, if Charles Johnson wins, all credit to him.
This could be a very quick lights out fight. It's Nikita Krylov versus Modesta Bakauskas, the Baltic Gladiator. Another light heavyweight fight here. Two guys who, well, they do not believe in getting paid by the hour. They end things quickly. So
Mhm.
how much should this be one of those fights where it's like just a slobber knocker? No grappling. Screw this, like submission game. We're just gonna see if we can just knock them FR out.
Yes, I mean, Modi is a great fighter, I think. He's a fun fighter to watch. He got a little bit lucky against Cucilaba. Was a very close fight, I think, last time. But I'm happy he gets a step up against a ranked guy. Krylov has looked really bad in his last couple of fights. Dude even jumped somebody and then he got knocked out by jumping in. Um, I think this is mostly like the fight for Modestas to get into the rankings. He Besides, he has everything to win. In my opinion, he's everything to lose as well because this is opportunity, and he shouldn't lose to this Krylov we've seen the last couple of times. So normally I would say Krylov is the favorite, but I've seen Krylov fight the last couple of times. That's horrible in my opinion. So Modesta should be able to get the win here and get into the rankings, in my opinion.
If Modestas wins, does Krylov get cut? I mean, he'll be 11-10 in his UFC career. If he gets knocked out in the first round, that'll be back to back to back first round knockout losses. Like at some point, does UFC go, yeah, look, this isn't working. We need to let you go. You're just getting starched in the first round. And while that might be fun, that doesn't help us.
Yeah, to be really honest, I think if he loses, I think he gets cut. Yeah, that's what I hope not for him, obviously, but I think that will happen because he has shown really bad performances in the UFC the last couple of times. The Reyes fight was horrible. The one before that one, I forgot, was also horrible. I can't remember. I forgot against who it was again. But he got starched in both those fights, really bad. Um, if he loses again, yeah, I see the UFC cutting him. I'm not surprised if they do.
Give me your thoughts on the lightweight fight between Michael Johnson and Anthony, sorry, Alexander
Alexander.
Hernandez, the
Yeah.
great ape. On paper, it looks like it could be a whitewash, but you look closely, like could Michael Johnson steal a win here for a guy who at times struggles, split the decision win against Austin Hubbard, unanimous decision victory over Kurt Hollabaugh. Like, could Michael Johnson be the guy who gives Alex trouble?
That Texas, I never bet on a Michael Johnson fight, because Michael Johnson is a great fighter. I think he's one of these guys who had the talent to be a champion, but somehow never came to full fruition, because he has some good wins on his record, man, and some real quality wins. And he's just super inconsistent, man. That's the thing. He's losing against guys he shouldn't lose to, and then he's winning against guys you don't expect him to win against. So he's fighting Alexander Hernandez. And Hernandez has looked better the last couple of times. He started very, very well in the UFC. Um, that completely vanished pretty much. And now he's like a resurgence and he's coming back. It's an interesting fight. This is a typical fight where I expect Michael Johnson not to win and where he wins. So um, I expect actually that Alexander Hernandez will be able to win over 3 rounds against Johnson, but you will watch Michael Johnson probably win because I just said that. So yeah, but it's a fun fight. It's a good fight, and it's an interesting fight to see where both guys are in the division.
Again, like as I said, is it how maddening is it that with Michael Johnson? There's times where he gets on a roll and he looks like a world beater. I mean, there was one point I remember where, hey, he was 15-8, had beaten Edison Barboza. We're thinking, hey, next win, UFC title shot, and then it's loses two, wins one, loses three, wins two, loses four, wins then three out of the next five, and now he's on a three fight win streak. Like, how maddening is it that there's never sort of like a consistent 5, 6 fights where we're looking at Michael Johnson going, this is what we expected to be. This is the guy that we thought was going to be when we first got into the UFC.
That's exactly the problem. That's exactly the problem. I think he's super inconsistent. And if he wasn't, he would have probably fought for a title as well. And I think it's frustrating for him the most, because he knows he's probably capable of getting there, but for some reason it didn't click a couple of times. So yeah.
Like you look and you've talked about, he has wins over Dustin Poirier,
Hmm.
Edson Barboza. Melvin Gilliard, Tony Ferguson when Ferguson was still, like an elite guy. Like again, we see how tough for you. How tough is it when it's mental? When you see a fighter who the physical tools are there. It's not like he's the Dana White privilege where he's kind of overrated. He's not that good. Like this guy is good, but it's just mentally like you always wonder why are you not winning? What is it that just prevents you from having that breakout consistency?
Yeah, it's of course frustrating. It's most frustrating for Johnson. I think Dana White don't really mind, to be really honest. But for Johnson, it's frustrating. Because he's a talented guy. He has showed that he can beat the best. He has wins over Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier on his record, for example. You know, but at the same time, he also has losses on his record he shouldn't have, like a Jamie Mullarkey. I mean, there are so many others he shouldn't have losses to. So. Yeah, it's difficult. It's always been difficult in Michael Johnson, I feel like.
Meanwhile, Alexander Hernandez, the great ape, four fight win streak, including wins over Diego Ferreira, Chase Hooper, Kurt Hollabaugh, Hubbard. It seems like everything's clicking. If he beats Michael Johnson, does he even deserve a top 10 fight? I know there's been times where it's like, wow, lost to Billy Quantrillo, Bill Alago, what's going on? He lost to Damon Jackson. But if he wins this fight, is it time for the UFC to go, okay, you're ready for a top 15, you're ready for a top 10 guy?
Top 15, maybe, yeah, or top 20, but somebody right there, right in the rankings or just outside the rankings, one of these two. If he wins, for sure, yeah, I'm with you there, for sure. I think he deserves it then.
Well, in another heavyweight fight, which you're sort of, I can tell you're like, God damn, why is this fight on the prelims? Josh Hockett takes on Denzel Freeman. One of his guy is 7-0, another one's 7-1. The Incredible Hawk is a guy that already has a lot of people buzzing, former NFL player turned UFC fighter, very personable. Should we expect just like a one round domination? Like, do you look at this fight and go, yeah, Denzel Freeman has been brought in to sort of just play the role of punching bag, and Hockett basically is going to be a guy that, hey, UFC has big plans for.
I mean, if you look at Denzel Freeman's debut against Marek Boylo, what a horrible fucking fight that was, dude. Um, he won, but man, I could have spent my 15 minutes better than watching that fight. I was fighting Hockett. Hockett had a good debut. He fought against that Max Gimenez guy, but that was also a gimme fight, in my opinion. Hockett will probably win here as well, I would say. I think he gets a quick finish again, and the UFC probably puts him on the White House card. Um, yeah, I think Hockett wins this fight. I'd be surprised if he doesn't, to be really honest.
So I can tell you're already going, hey, this is Dana White privilege. It's starting to slow with you. I can tell you're like, but is it? Have you already started to label Hockey fairly or unfair? Like, yeah, this guy has DWP, Dana White privilege.
Not yet, not yet. We'll see in the next fight who he's got matched up with. Not yet.
Rounding out the rest of the prelims, we got Ricky Turcios versus um, Cameron Smotherman, the babyface killer. God, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta love these nicknames. And then Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit. Let's start off here with Turcios versus Smotherman. Why is this fight on the card? And is this more proof that the UFC has way too many fighters?
Oh, there's a fight on the card. I have no idea, dude. Um, how do you that feeling? I have no idea. Yeah, I don't dislike the car. I don't dislike the matchup, but at the same time, yeah, what does it on this card? I have no idea. Um, Tour shows for a former Ultimate Fighter winner, right? Not doing really great. Needs a win here. And same goes for Smotherman, who really started well in the UFC with a short notice debut against Hadley, but after that, didn't look great. So both need a win, and probably winner gets probably stays in the UFC, and I think loser leaves town probably. That's the kind of fight this one is. I think.
Who do you like in this fight? Because they're sort of both evenly matched. They're just good enough to get into the UFC, but not good enough to probably, beat top 15 guys. So, of the two guys who are sort of, fighting for their career, who do you like in this duo?
tour shows is better than grinding out fights. Smotherman has to be on his A game to do well, and tour shows can grind out fights. So I would favor tour shows a little bit, but it's not a confident pick at all. I think again, like obviously all fights can go both ways, but this is not a clear. I don't have a clear favorite in this one.
And to round up, we got is the newest young Dana White Contender Series star, Ty Miller. Uh, Good-looking kid, the thriller. He's 6-0, 25-0. Sorry, 25 years old. He takes on the grizzled young veteran known as Adam Fugit in a welterweight scrap. What should we expect from Ty Miller? I mean, we keep, seeing all these Dana White Contender Series fights, and some, turn out to be pretty damn good. Some guys turn out to be just sort of, yeah, some turn out to be like, What do you see from Miller? What are you expecting? And is he another guy that the UFC probably looks and goes, hey, we can make some money off this kid? He
Yeah,
is marketable.
Ty Miller looked pretty good on the Dana White Contender Series. Gets a debut against a guy who was like struggling a little bit in the UFC, got brutally knocked out by Dulatov last time. Um, yeah, this is a fight he should be able to win, I think. Normally if you come from Dana White Contender Series, I'm kind of hesitant always because it's not like if you're like undefeated, you're gonna also roll through the UFC competition. But I think this is a favorable matchup for Ty Miller, probably. So I think he can win this fight. Fugit is also not. It's not a bad fighter or anything. But he's on. I can't really remember how if he did really well. I remember that he beat the Kinoshita guy, and everybody was surprised back then. But since then, it was okay. But he also got knocked out against Dulatov. Yeah, he got finished against Morales, but that's not really like how do you say that? That can happen. Morales world class, I think. So, but yeah, I would say Ty Miller. Ty Miller is training fit NHB from Tim Means' team. Yeah, I think he should do well.
How tough is it, though, for, as we said, Ty Miller only has 6 fights on his belt.
Yeah.
Fugit has 15. So,
Mhm.
again, I know the UFC has high hopes of this kid. He's 25 years old. He looks good. He's an action-packed fighter. How tough is it, though, when you look and it's like, hasn't really fought anybody? I mean, it's a huge step from beating guys who are 0-1, 1-0. The best ones are 4-2 or 7-2, and now you're taking on a guy who probably seen more and knows more than you've ever seen in your career.
I mean, Chris, you're in the UFC, so you got to start somewhere, right? Um, if you look at the welterweight division in the UFC, Fugit is probably one of the um, less great guys in the division. So they got to give him someone, and I think this is a good step up. Listen, if he loses to Fugit, then he will probably have a really difficult career in the UFC. I think because I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but Fugit is pretty much the bottom of the barrel in the UFC. Like I think maybe the 15 not that great welterweights in the UFC. He's around there. So he needs to win this one. Otherwise, you have nothing to do in the UFC, in my opinion. But we'll see. I think he's favored going into the fight. Um, let's see if he can keep rolling on like he did on the Contender Series.
Big weekend for the UFC or for Dana White. First, he has TKO boxing on Friday night, and then Saturday it's UFC 324. Is he spreading himself too thin? I mean, he has now the whole boxing thing. He has the UFC. He has his power slap. He's doing other celebrity stuff. I mean, if you're a TKO, I mean, at what point are you looking at Dana going, okay, we might need to start finding your replacement because you seem to be, one step short of burnout.
To be really honest with you, I don't care, dude. I don't. I only care about the MMA kind of thing. The boxing, I couldn't care less. The power slap, I care less either. Um, and Dana does whatever he wants to do. And I think he should be more focused on the UFC than all the other bullshit. But that's up to Dana. And yeah, as long as we get UFC fights or MMA fights from the UFC, I'm happy. I just hope they're never gonna like how do you say that? Mix up cards like 3 MMA fights, three boxing fights, four power slap fights, and three jiu-jitsu fights. No, fuck off with that. I don't want to see that.
But no, but you know the ultimate plan. We get three UFC fights. We get two boxing fights. We get WWE match all on the same card live from Saudi Arabia. That's in the works, Marcel. And when that
Horrible.
happens, they might have you cover that. They might even have you sit there right next to like Dana White so you can go, hey, isn't this great? And he can get your reaction from it.
Absolute horrible. We don't need that mixed up. Really not. The thing is, like, as really in the US, I feel that way, that they think that MMA fans are also WWE fans. And WWE fans are also MMA fans. It's not true. It's not, it's maybe some, but it's not overall, you know? It's the same with boxing. Boxing fans aren't MMA fans, and MMA fans aren't boxing fans. You know, they probably watch it here and there, but it's a different, how do you say that? There's a different audience for it, you know? I mean, Power Slap fans aren't MMA fans, and MMA fans aren't Power Slap fans, you know? Please keep that all separate. I know One Championship does that shit as well, and that's why I barely watch any One Championship anymore. You know, I just want to watch MMA. I don't need to see BJJ wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, and before you know, you're watching everything and you don't know what you're watching anymore. You know, so just keep every sport separate, please.
All right, give me your final thoughts on UFC 324. Is it worth it? Do you look at this and go, hey, this is a great, great card for the company? Like when you look at this card, how do you look at it overall? Is it a great card
It's
to
a
start the year?
it's a very fun card with really some really good matchups, high-end matchups, with an unnecessary title fight on it, but a very fun matchup on the main as the main event. Overall, the card I would say I give it an 8 out of 10. Um, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how it ends. But 8 out of 10, I think. There's some really good fights on it, some really fun ones. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we always love having him on the show. I give you once again, he is one of the most busiest guys in MMA, podcast host, Tapology. He's on Eurosport UFC. He's all over the place here. I give you it's Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, once again, where can fans check you out at? Where is the Twitter, Instagram, the podcast, Rumble channel, YouTube? Where can fans hit you up at?
Yeah, just Big Marcel 24 on Twitter as and Instagram as always. You know, you guys know by now I'm doing like previews and recaps of UFC events with Adam Martin on the MMA Outbreakers channel. That one will be live on Monday for this week, so we still have to do the preview show. Um, Yeah, and Chris, as always, thanks for having me, man. It's the first time this year, and yeah, good opener, I think. Looking forward to the card, and I would say to everybody who's watching this, enjoy the fights, guys. The UFC is back, and we have some fun matchups upcoming. You know.
I'm looking forward to it. Once again, Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, always on a pleasure having you on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on. Only on it's Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol. Only on the Last Call podcast.com.